conducting the meeting tonight. Closed session. Let's do roll call.
Councilmember Amparano?
Here.
Councilmember Burnworth?
Here.
Councilmember Tucker?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dale?
Here.
Mary Genio?
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready? Begin.
Allegiance to the flag. Is there any adjustments to the agenda?
Mayor Pro Tem Dale, there are no adjustments to this agenda.
Mr. Holbrook, any action taken in closed session?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I have no action to report from closed session.
Okay. We're going to move into C1. Matters not appearing on the agenda. If you wish to address the council concerning any item within the council's jurisdiction, please raise your hand, be acknowledged by the mayor. At that time, state your name and address for the record. The mayor reserves the right to place a time limit on each person's presentation of 3 minutes. It is requested that longer presentations be submitted to the council in writing. Anybody like to speak? Mr. Jernigan?
Good evening, Chuck Jernigan, live on Rodeo Drive, and I'd like to thank Mr. Morita for the update they gave on the project going on. It's progress, but I'd just like to say a couple of things. I believe this is my third time coming down here, and school boards and city councilors where true democracy is. And that's where the constituents, which is me, can meet with my elected officials, which is you. And this is my third time coming down here, and we've never had an exchange, a dialogue. It almost looks I'm talking to a wall. There's no discussion, there's no back and forth, and I was just curious why we never have that, unless you guys just don't have any ideas or opinions on what we're talking about. And I know that your council has told you not to engage in conversations in public session, but this is a non-agendized item, and you can't take action on it, but we can have a discussion on it.
Mr. Jernigan, if you'd like me to address that, if you start having a dialogue between numerous people and the public doesn't know that dialogue is occurring, it's not agendized, that is an issue for the rest of the public. To have a full dialogue where you come to conclusions without affording the general public the right to know that that's being discussed. That's the reason for my advice.
I appreciate your position, Mr. Holbert, but I disagree with it. This is where, as a constituent, I can talk to these people that I voted for. We don't need everybody else. If I see them in the grocery store, we're going to have a discussion. I see their comments in the newspaper, which the public hasn't had comment to. So I just want to have an interactive, positive dialogue with them because I voted for them. And there's nothing they can do. They can't take action. If anybody else wants to come to the public meeting, they can come down and get in the discussion too. I thought this might have been agendized a month ago, but it wasn't. But I appreciate your input. And I did have a status from Mr. Morita. Have we had any update on the signal lights coordination that I proposed at the last meeting? I take that as a no.
Mr. Jernigan, I think the council's taking my advice. This is not a question and answer. It's a public
Okay,
presentation.
then I will direct that to the city manager then. Has there been any action taken on the coordination of the east and westbound traffic lights to coordinate that a little bit better?
Mr. Jernigan, you heard the advice of our attorney, and I think the council, and me included, are gonna follow that advice. I will say this: when you run into a council person in the grocery store, it's one person. Here you have all five, and therein lies the issue with the Brown Act.
Maybe what we can do in the interim is Calexico always has a traffic problem. And what they would do is have traffic controllers on southbound Highway 111 into Calexico where the traffic was controlled by a person. Maybe we could have For an hour every morning, the police department assigned a traffic control officer at that intersection of Imperial Avenue and 15th Street to regulate and control the traffic tension there until we have a solution. I was there this morning. It took me about 5 minutes to get out of the post office because there was about 40 cars piled up. Have I already reached my 3 minutes? The last thing I'd like to say, if I could be allowed a minute or two, is 2 weeks ago I was having a discussion with the foreman doing the McDonald's project out there, and it's gonna be open in February. So we need to take some kind of action on it pretty fast. Thank you very much. Hope to see you guys in the grocery store or the newspaper somewhere, and I think in the newspaper, Mr. Genio, you adopted the Ghost Hotel as a campaign pledge. I wish somebody would adopt 15th Street as a mission and give it some tenacity. Thank you very much.
Any other comments? Seeing none. C2, matters appearing on the agenda. If you wish to address the council concerning any item appearing on the agenda, please raise your hand and be acknowledged by the mayor. At that time, state your name and address for the record. The mayor reserves a right to place a time limit on each person's presentation of 3 minutes. Anybody like to speak? Seeing none, we move on to consent agenda. Okay, all items appearing under consent agenda will be acted upon by the city council by one motion without discussion. Should any council member or any other person request any item to be considered separately at that time, will then be taken up at the time determined by the mayor. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we're moving on to E1, discussion action, RFP P2021-10, resident engineering, construction management, and inspection for Second Street rehabilitation and reconstruction from old SR 86 to P Street.
Good evening, council. The item before you is for resident engineer construction management inspection services for the Second Street project. The city received 3 proposals. Each proposal was review for general firm and experience, quality of the staff, capacity to perform, and ability and cost. One of the proposals, one of the consultants withdrew their proposals due to a mistake done during the proposal preparation. After this review, staff recommends city council award a contract for resident engineering, construction management, and inspection to Dynamic Consultant Engineering in the amount of $154,865.44. And I'll stand for any questions that you may have.
I have a
Yes,
on here. It says they're the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, but they're not.
I do apologize. They were reviewed, not based on the lowest responsible bidder, but it was reviewed under the general firm and experience, quality of the staff, the capacity to perform, and ability and cost. That's a typo. That's a mistake. I do apologize for that.
Questions?
I'll make the motion.
Take the second.
Okay, so please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
To E2, discussion action, booster station maintenance.
Good evening, Council. We're asking for is to purchase 4 12-inch check valves for the water treatment booster pump station. This is at the plant, the main pump station. We have 2 of them that are allowing water to recirculate back through the header, which is a waste of energy, and you're basically pushing water out and back into your tank at the same time. We found this out as we were replacing motors. These are a silent type seat. It's an internal check. We have no way of testing it from the outside. The checks that are in there are made in Germany. They are 43 weeks out and $87,000 each. These will be a retrofit. We'll do the retrofit in-house with a little bit of outside labor as needed only. And the cost of all four of these valves is $20,163.19. So we're asking to purchase the valves from a local supplier and retrofit the header ourselves using our staff.
Stock.
Yes, they are.
Oh, even better.
Yes.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, please vote.
And they're local.
Forty-three weeks. from
Motion
Germany.
carries 5-0.
Stock. AE3, discussion action, Republic Services Green Waste Organic Recycling for Commercial and Select Multifamily Units Rate Increase.
Good evening, Council. I was making up. The state of California has made organic recycling mandatory. The signing of AB 1826 into law has made organic recycling mandatory for certain commercial and multifamily operations. The goal of AB 1826 is to help achieve aggressive increased recycling and greenhouse gas emission reduction goals. The city adopted Ordinance 811 in effort to become compliant with AB 1826 and the fee imposed by Republic Services for the commercial businesses in multifamily operations is $45 monthly, low enough to encourage participation. This fee will also be charged to neighboring cities such as Raleigh and City of Calexico. As part of the attachment, as a note, in El Centro, they're currently charging at $37.43. If you remember, there are some exemptions to the rule as part of the Ordinance 811. Some commercial solid waste customers in multifamily who generate fewer than 2 cubic yards are excluded of this ordinance. And if no recyclable materials or organic materials are generated on site, they have to have a verification of this exemption and will have to go through the city and be approved by the city. And I'll stay for any questions that you may have. We also have Republic Services here to answer any questions on the fee.
Questions, comments?
Comments we had last time. It's just another,
I forgot
just
to
another
ask last time,
California deal.
how much is our residents right now paying for this anyway monthly? Not this, but their normal trash. What does it come up to roughly? 2218. Don't worry, I'm not worried about you. I'm just making a comment that our residents are going to have to be taxed because this is what this is. This is not anything to do with you. It's an asinine law that our state puts upon our residents. And every time the residents get angry with us because we have rate increases, it's not brought on by this city council, it's by legislators in Sacramento.
So, or correct, Mayor Pro Tem Dale. My name is Peter Sternberg. I'm the General Manager for Public Services here. And I have with me George Taylor, who's the Operation Manager here. With regards to the residential, the rate I believe is currently at $20.36 a month. If you recall, a year and a half ago, we were in here talking about the green waste no longer being used as ADC and we had it composted. At that time, we did a rate increase to the residents to cover that additional cost. At that time, we had mentioned this was coming down the line. We knew it was going to happen, but there'll be no change to the residential price as a result of this because we're going to be collecting it in the same container that they currently have their yard waste. So there's no additional cost to the resident for the implementation of this program. Now, this is going to affect just businesses and multifamily, and it's going to be a separate container that we have to collect. So that's where the cost comes in. And this really isn't a rate increase. It's establishing a rate for the commercial customers. And that's what we're doing now. our goal is to, after we get the program implemented after a year, we'll look at those costs and see where we fall in based on participation and how much material we're collecting. And we'll have to look at the rate one more time. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel bad for businesses right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gone through COVID, people have lost businesses, people have suffered in many ways. And I understand this is a horrible, horrible disease that is, we've lost lots of family members and loved ones and been affected by it. But we also have to realize the reality of we got to get back to get business. And to think that in the toughest of times, the state does this. They could have waited. I just want to make sure the residents know what's going on, and we understand it's not you. This is a tax. This is ultimately what it comes down to.
And I do want to mention too, businesses, there is an exemption form. So if businesses truly don't generate more than a half cubic yard of organics, they can opt out of that program, and they don't have to have the additional cost. It's just going to be the businesses that actually generate organics that will need to participate in the program.
Now,
And we'll work with the city to identify those people and try to bring them into compliance. And so obviously I want to do as low as cost as possible. I'm with you.
No, I understand. And the thing is, it's also pressing on you. It's pressing on me because all of the inflation that's going on is costing us so much more to operate and do business, and you're not increasing for that. So it is a burden on your business, which is going to be a burden on our businesses with this crap.
What we did do is we try to come up with as low a cost program as we could think of. And so we're going to do it in carts. So it'll be in the cart like you see at a home, but it'll be only 64 gallons. We're going to exchange that cart each time so that the business will have a clean cart. And we're doing that because we don't have a system that'll handle plastics, right, for organics. So we'll be able to mix this material with the stuff we're already taking to our compost facility. So we really tried to set up a program that's going to be as low as cost as we possibly can have. We can even pick this up with a pretty simple truck. It's not going to be your regular collection truck. We're going to do it either with a stake bed or even a pickup truck pulling a trailer. So try to keep the cost down as much as possible.
I got a couple questions, if I may. Who's gonna regulate this for us?
So that's a tough one. So what we're going to do is we're going to work with the city to hit the compliance requirements from the state. And ultimately, you know, we're hiring a part-time recycling coordinator that's going to work with each one of the cities to identify. We have to provide notices to those residents. We'll handle that part of it. When it comes down to the enforcement, that will be on the city to have the enforcement piece of it.
You said also residents, not just commercial.
Eventually, there is enforcement on residential as well. That's not initially this first year. So for the residential, it's simply using their existing cart system that they have, and they can add any organics to that if they would like to.
If I don't eat my pizza and I throw it in my black trash can, I'm gonna get a fine.
Eventually, I think what the state wants to do is remove that material from the trash can, but that's not the initial.
Right. But that's kind of
takeout.
what it boils down to.
If it ends up there, that part, I hope it doesn't, right? I think the
Correct,
idea would be is we'll get enough diversion.
I know it sounds a
That
little
doesn't happen.
ridiculous. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I mean, I still think AB 1826 is ridiculous because now somebody's going to be going through my trash can to make sure that all my organics are in the right color. I understand we have a problem with that, but this is coming from somewhere else. You know, we're a population of 20,000. We're going to impose these fees to our businesses and to our residents for what? And it's not you. Don't get me wrong. I'm not against you guys. And it's just because I have a problem with this. I'm just like Jeff. I'm tired of California doing what they're doing to our residents, to our businesses as we're trying to get back. But my other thing is, your compost facility is in Arizona. So why are we paying $45 to California when our stuff is going to Arizona?
Well, the reason our facility is located in Arizona is just really a practical matter. From establishing a compost facility, it's rather expensive to do that, and the volume that the valley generates just doesn't support a facility. If someone had a facility here, and it was operational and we can use it at a lower cost, we would do that. It's going to our facility because that's the best we can do at this time.
So rest assured, I'm on your side. I understand. I've visited your facilities numerous times and seen the process and seen what happens and seen the contamination and seen all that. Yeah, some things need to change, but I think they need to leave. I think Sacramento needs to stay out and let local government take care of our cities and let us, work with our residents and our businesses to try to take care of these problems and not have them and start imposing things and fees like this. So, sorry, that's my 2 cents. Yeah. And like I said, once again, it's not against you guys. You guys have an excellent service and I appreciate it.
Okay, we can beat a dead dog all
Yep.
night long, so. do I
I'll
have a
make the
motion?
I'll
motion to
make the
approve.
second.
Who motioned?
I
I have
James motion.
a motion by Tucker and a second by Burnworth on the record.
Okay, please vote.
Motion carries 4-1.
Okay, gonna move on to reports. Tony?
Yes. So I want to remind everybody that doesn't know or hasn't seen our social media page that we will be having a work party to install or finish installing all the minor amenities at Paseo del Sol Park. We encourage all the community members in that area to come and join us. We will have a combination of planting, putting some picnic tables together, putting some barbecue grills, putting little amenities here and there. People of all ages are welcome. Please dress appropriately. Wear your boots, wear your long pants, wear your long sleeves. We don't want anybody getting hurt. So come join us Saturday, 9 a.m., Paseo del Sol Park.
Okay. Thank you. Amber?
Madam Mayor, Council, before you, you have your light necklaces. So that's a reminder for next Friday, December 3rd. Oh, excuse me, that's next Friday, December 10th is our Imperial Light Parade. So it starts at 6 p.m. along Imperial Avenue from 4th Street through 15th Street. And then following the next day will be Saturday, December 11th. Our Christmas in a Small Town will start at 3 p.m. and end at 9 p.m. 3 to 9.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna adjourn this city council meeting until the next regularly scheduled meeting, Wednesday, December 15th, 2021 at 7 p.m. Thank you for coming.